Hello everyone, welcome back to Control Systems lectures. In today's lecture I am going to discuss about Nyquist stability criteria. This lecture will actually comprise of the basic behind and the concept behind Nyquist stability criteria. So till now we have seen that if we have a control system, like if we generally represent the closed loop control system something like this. Okay, we have got forward gain path, and then we have got feedback path, we have got some input, and hence we get some output CS, and typically this is a negative closed loop control system. Then the transfer function for this control system, it's written as GS upon 1 plus GS into HS, where this 1 plus GS HS, if we equate this to 0, then this equation is known as the characteristic equation of the system. And also the important point is that the roots of this characteristic equation, like roots of this 1 plus GS HS, they are the poles of this complete system. Okay, and if we want to find the stability of the system, then essentially all the poles of the system or the roots of this characteristic equation, they all should lie on the left hand side of the S plane. This is the basic criteria behind the stability of any control system. Okay, now coming back to what is Nyquist criteria, what it has to do with all this, and why should we use Nyquist criteria. Fine. So this criteria, actually this Nyquist criteria, it's a graphical technique. This is a graphical technique and it's used in control system to determine the stability of the system, both the stability, that is absolute stability also, and the relative stability also. What do we mean by relative stability? Suppose if we have got a system A and if we have got a system B, and if both these systems are stable, means both the systems are having all the poles lying on the left hand side of the S plane. So if both the systems are stable, then also which of the system A and B is more stable. So comparison between these two systems can also be made. So Nyquist criteria, it does not only tell about the absolute stability of the system, but also the relative stability of the system. It also gives information about that. It's also used to find out the gain margin and phase margin of the control system. So gain margin and phase margin of the control system has been discussed in the Bode plots. Okay, there we had already introduced the concept. Again we will be introducing this concept in the Nyquist criteria. Essentially it's the same. So it's actually the graphical technique, and this Nyquist criteria, when we find out the stability of this system, in Nyquist criteria we do not actually compute the total number of poles and total number of zeros of the system. It's a beautiful technique. It will actually relate the open loop frequency response with the total number of poles and zeros of 1 plus GSHS lying on the right hand side of the S plane. Stability can be found out graphically using this the stability of the system. It's found out using the open loop frequency response and open loop pole location, which we had seen similar concept in the root locus. So the stability of closed loop system found out using open loop frequency response of the system. No need to determine the closed loop poles, no need to actually compute the closed loop poles. You can find out whether the system is stable or unstable using the open loop frequency response only. This criteria, it can be used further for the transient response analysis and steady state errors also. But first let us look at the concept behind the Nyquist criteria. So here I have done some derivation of Nyquist criteria. To understand this criteria, first we'll understand these four major concepts, and then these concepts, relating these concepts, will help us to understand the logic behind the Nyquist. First concept is the relationship between the poles of 1 plus ds and poles of GSHS. Okay, now if we have got this control system, where GS, and we have got GS and HS. Now this GS, it can be anything, means this function GS is actually a function, and this function can be represented like something like it can be s plus 1 into s plus 2 into s plus 3 and so on, divided by again s plus c into s plus d into s plus e and so on. So this GSHS can be a function something like this. So to generalize it, what we have done, we have said that this complete numerator term, it can be written as ng. This complete denominator term, it can be represented as dg. N is for numerator, d is for denominator, and g is for this forward path gain. Similarly, we can write HS. This HS again, it can be a function of s plus 1, s plus 2 and so on, divided by s plus 3, s plus 4 and so on. So in generic way, we can write it as NH divided by DH. N is representing numerator, D is representing denominator, H is actually this coming from HS. Okay, so we have got these two terms, GS and HS. Now we want to find out the relation between the poles of 1 plus GSHS and poles of GSHS. So what will be GS into HS? GSHS means GS into HS. So GSHS will be this multiplication of this and this. You can write it like N. This will be Ng into NH divided by Dg into Dh. So your GS into HS is equal to NG/NH divided by Dg into Dh. Similarly, if I want to find out what is 1 plus GSHS, I want to find out the function, then I'll just have to add 1 to this GSHS. If I add 1 to this, it will become Ng into NH plus Dg into Dh divided by Dg into Dh. So this is what we are getting. 1 plus GSHS is this term. Fine. Now the first concept was find out the relationship between poles of 1 plus GSHS. Poles of 1 plus GSHS means Dg into Dh, and the poles of GSHS. So poles of GSHS is again, what is it? Dg into Dh. So you can see that these two things are essentially same. So what we can observe, the first relationship comes like the poles of the characteristic equation is also Dg into Dh. The poles of the open loop system is also Dg into Dh. This is the first relationship or the first concept that we gain. Coming back, the second concept is relation between zeros of 1 plus GSHS and the poles of closed loop transfer function Ts. Now we have to define Ts. Ts is a transfer function. Transfer function of this closed loop system, we can write it as Gs upon 1 plus Gs into Hs. Now if you solve this Gs upon 1 plus GSHS, the term that you will get over here, it is Ng into Dh divided by this term Dg into Dh plus Ng into Nh. Now I have written, we have to find out relation between zeros of 1 plus GSHS. What is the zeros of 1 plus GSHS? This complete term that I am highlighting, Dg into Dh plus Ng into Nh, and the poles of the closed loop transfer function. So poles of the closed loop transfer function is Dg into Dh plus Ng into Nh. Again you can see that these two are essentially same. The poles of 1 plus GSHS and poles of GSHS are same. Similarly, zeros of 1 plus GSHS and the poles of closed loop transfer function, they are also same. And this actually is a very important point. Okay, this is very important to understand, because the stability of any system, it's related with the poles of the transfer function. So if we have got a transfer function, then the poles of this transfer function, they all should lie on the right hand side of the S plane. Only then the system will be called as stable. But the poles of this transfer function, they are essentially the zeros of 1 plus GSHS. Okay, so when we discuss about Nyquist criteria, generally students, they sometimes they forget, like, why are we finding out the zeros, why are we not finding out about the poles of the system. So actually what we are finding out, the zeros of 1 plus GSHS in the Nyquist stability criteria. We'll discuss this in the further part of the video, but just remember this, that what we'll be discussing is the zeros of 1 plus GSHS, and the zeros of 1 plus GSHS are essentially the poles of the transfer function. So they are actually same. So we'll be discussing that in we'll be discussing it in the few minutes. Okay, now the third concept, let's move on to the third concept. Third concept is the mapping of points. Okay, mapping, let me read this. Mapping is what? It is taking a complex number on S plane. So you just take if you have got an S plane, you just take a complex number and then substituting its value to a function which is a function, it should be a function of S, to get another complex number. Okay, so if I have got a point in the S plane and then I have got a function of S, and wherein I substitute this value of S, what the point that I am getting, if I substitute this point over here, then I'll get another complex number. And if I plot that the complex number that I am getting here, if I plot it again in the S plane, then this will be called as mapping. Okay, suppose example over here, if I have got a function of S which is given as S plus 2, and I have taken the point, the complex number I've taken as 1 plus 2j. So if I just substitute this S as 1 plus 2j, and this is plus 2, so my Fs will become, this will become equal to 3 plus 2j. Okay, so if I substitute this S, I'm substituting the complex number and I'm finding out another, I'm getting another point, and now if I plot that point in the S plane, then I'll say that we had point 1 plus 2j, which actually mapped this point, it mapped into 3 plus 2j through the function S plus 2. So this point maps to 3 plus 2j through the function S plus 2. Had there been any other function like S plus 3 or something different, okay, so if you substitute that point in that function and whatever another complex point that you get, you will say that the point maps into another point through that function. So this is known as mapping. That was mapping of point. Now the extension of mapping of point is mapping of contours. Contour, in maths you must have heard about contours. Okay, so contour is what? It's a collection of points. Now similar to mapping a point through a function, mapping of contour is the process of mapping a collection of points. So contour is basic collection of points. Again same thing through a function where each point will be mapped. Now earlier we had only one point. Suppose I map this second point also, I map this third point also, I map this fourth point also. Similar to what we were doing in the previous mapping of point, again I am doing the same thing. This this point, suppose over here it's mapping at this point. This point over here, suppose it's mapping to this point. This point here is mapping to this somewhere. Okay, so similar to this, if I continuously map all these points, then this contour will be mapped into another contour over here. So this is what is known as the mapping of contour. Pretty simple. Till now I think you must have understood it. But it's not just like if you have a, suppose here only we have seen, if you have a contour A and you are mapping it to contour B, so the contour B that you are getting over here, it's not just something randomly that you are getting. Okay, you have got some function, you have got some contour, and then you are mapping it through that function, you're getting another contour. So whatever contour that you are getting over here, it's not just something very random. Okay, there are actually some peculiarities which we can see while the mapping is done. Those peculiarities are very, very, very important, and they will direct us towards the concept of Nyquist. So just bear with me for a few minutes more, and then you'll clearly understand what we are actually doing in the Nyquist criteria. So let us understand this with the help of an example. Let me take one plane, which is X plane. In X plane, I have defined a contour. This is a, here I have defined a rectangular contour, okay, which has mainly 4 points at the boundaries. One point is at -1 plus j, second point is -3 plus j, third -3 minus j, and fourth is -1 minus j. So combining these 4 points, when combined, they are making a contour. This is the contour, that is the rectangular contour, and I am traveling from, I am traveling in this contour in the anti-clockwise direction. The direction is important, that's why I am emphasizing that the direction that I am traversing in this contour is the anti-clockwise direction. Now, while mapping of contour, when it is done, then you know that we have to take a function. So through that function, the contour from X plane can be converted into any other plane, suppose say it as Y plane. So what I am doing, I'll be doing is, let us do the mapping through this function gs equal to s plus 2. So the function that I am taking right now, that I'll be taking here, is gs is equal to s plus 2. What will happen when I take the function gs is equal to s plus 2 and map this contour to another plane? So this has to be done. Now here you can see that I have emphasized, like I've taken these 4 points, -1 plus j, it's depicted by this star, then -3 plus j, it's depicted by this diamond, -3 minus j depicted by another figure, and -1 minus j depicted by another figure. This is done here, right now. This has been done by me, so that you can exactly see while we map the points, then which point is being mapped to which point. Like if this -1 plus j is being mapped, then the figure that will be getting, or the point that will be getting in y plane, it will also be the same star, so that you can understand that this -1 plus j point has been mapped. Okay, so that there is no confusion which point is being mapped to which point. So let's do it. First is -1 minus j. I have to map it through this function gs is equal to s plus 2. One more important point that I should clear it right now. Here I have written this, I have also made a point as s is equal to -2. So actually what I have done, I have written like my function, the function through which I am doing the mapping is s plus 2, gs is equal to s plus 2. So this function, it has got a 0 at equal to -2. So this gs is equal to s plus 2 means if you equate this with 0, then s will be equal to -2. So this function is having a 0 at s is equal to -2. So this 0 is being represented over here, and you can also see that the 0, that is the 0 of this function through which we are mapping, the 0 is lying inside this contour. It's not lying outside the contour. So now I'll be doing the mapping. So first of all, if I do the mapping of -1 plus j through this gs equal to s plus 2, then what will we do? this point, it will be mapped to this y plane, then I have to substitute the value of s as equal to minus 1 plus j plus 2. So this will become equal to 1 plus j. So you will see that if I map this in this plane, then the point that I am having over here is 1 plus j. As this minus 1 plus j has been mapped to 1 plus j, so the symbol over here, it was star, the symbol over here is also a star. That means this symbol and this symbol, they are the same points that are being mapped. Okay. Similarly, moving on to the next point I am taking, I am mapping minus 3 plus j to this plane. Actually, I could have taken more points in between also. So I could have taken this point, this point, this point. I should have, means while you map the contour, you actually map all the points. But as you know that this is pretty simple. This is a square. So I'm just mapping the boundaries, and then I'll join those boundaries so that I get the other contour. So the second point that I'm emphasizing is, the second point is minus 3 plus j. So the second point that I'll be mapping now, it will be minus 3 plus j. Okay. So if I map this minus 3 plus j to y plane, then again what I have to do, I have to substitute this minus 3 plus j in this function. So this minus 3 plus j plus 2, so it will give me minus 1 plus j. Minus 1 plus j means it will lie over here, where this is j and this is minus 1. So I'll get the same point, which is depicted by a diamond over here. It's being mapped to y plane. So this point, this diamond has been, this point has been mapped to this point, having the same symbol. So minus 3 plus j is mapping as minus 1 plus j in the y plane. Similarly, the next point, minus 3 minus j, it will be mapping to minus 1 minus j in the similar manner, and minus 1 minus j will be mapping to 1 minus j in the similar manner. You just substitute these values in this gs is equal to s plus 2, and you will get these points. So just see, in this contour that we had traveled in this direction, that was anti-clockwise direction, and the contour that I am having, so the mapping that we have done respectively, if you want to see the direction in which this is also happening, so you will just see that this is also happening in the anti-clockwise direction only. Again you can see this is mapping the anti-clockwise direction. So the direction over here is the same. So one thing we can conclude, that we had a function which was having a 0. Okay, this function was having a 0. There was not a pole in this function, so there was only 1 0 in this function, and that 0 was lying inside the contour. And when the 0 was lying inside the contour, then you see that one observation is that the direction did not change, even though the points they have changed, but the direction in which this contour was in x plane and the direction that we are getting in the y plane, both are anti-clockwise direction only. But another thing is that you can see that this contour, it's encircling the origin. Here we have origin. Here this contour was not encircling the origin, but here you can see that when we have a 0, when we have a function which is having a 0 inside the contour, then the contour that you are getting in another plane, it's encircling about the origin. These are the things which will be of importance. That's why I am highlighting only those points. So it's not just that randomly you get some contour in the other plane when you map it through some function. There are various peculiarities which you will see, and these are the points that you should remember. Now let's take another example. I'm again taking another plane. We'll keep this plane x plane as common, and we'll be taking another plane, and we'll be mapping the same contour in another plane but through a different function. So let me change the function. Here let's change the function where I have taken now gs is equal to 1 upon s plus 2. Earlier I had taken gs is equal to s plus 2 where the system was having 1 0 at minus 2. Now I have only changed the systems, I've changed like the system, I've taken the reciprocal, and now the system is having actually a pole at s is equal to minus 2. So I can just do it like this. Now the system is having a pole at s is equal to minus 2. That's the only difference. But let's see how the points are will be mapped in this new picture. Okay. So if I take first point, that is minus 1 plus j, again if I substitute it over here, so it will be 1 upon minus 1 plus j plus 2, and if you solve this, then you will get the point which is minus 0.5 minus 0.5 j. So here you can see that the point that I am getting while I've solved this, so the point that I am getting, it's lying somewhere over here. So this is 0.5 and this is minus 0.5 j. The intersection of these 2 points is 0.5 minus 0.5 j. Okay. Now the next point, that is if I want to map this point minus 3 minus j, like in the previous example that we did. So minus 3 minus j, if you map it through this same function, then you'll be getting the point minus 0.5 minus 0.5 j. Okay. Similarly, minus 3 plus j, and it will be minus 0.5 plus 0.5 j, and minus 1 minus j over here, it will be mapping to 0.5 plus 0.5 j. So again, I want to emphasize here in the x plane, when we moved along the points, we took the direction of the points, like when we were taking these points, we were taking these points in the anti-clockwise direction. Now just see here, the points that are being mapped, first the star was being mapped, then this diamond was being mapped, then this point was mapped, then this triangle was mapped, and now if you see the direction that you are getting, so it's traversing in more or, now this is traversing in a clockwise direction. So if I have, what is the change that has been here? In the first function we were having a 0. In the second function I am having a pole. Both the 0 and the pole they are having, they are means lying in the inside the contour only, but the direction of the contour that I was getting for 0 was anti-clockwise, and the direction that I am getting here, it's clockwise. Like you can ask, what if we had taken these points not in the anti-clockwise direction in x plane but in clockwise direction in x plane. Okay, like had I taken point minus 1 plus j first, then minus 1 minus j second, minus 3 minus j third, and so on. So in that case I would have considered this clockwise direction. In that case also, the contour that I would have gotten in the y plane here, mapping through s plus 2, the direction would have been same. This would also had been in clockwise direction, and then in that case the contour that I would have got for mapping through 1 upon s plus 2, that would have been in anti-clockwise direction. So the major point here to remember is that when you are mapping a contour through a function which is having a 0, then the direction remains the same. So direction, it remains the same, but for the pole the direction is becoming opposite. Okay, so if I just join these points, then I am getting this contour. But one thing which is common in both these, this one and this one, that is mapping through s plus 2 and 1 upon s plus 2, one thing that you are getting in common is that even in this case the origin is being encircled. Here also origin was encircled. That means by encircling of the origin, I mean that the contour is contour is actually encircling the origin. जो कॉन्टूर आ रहा है वो जो आपका ओरिजिन है उसके अराउंड घूम रहा है. ओके, सो दिस इज द पॉइंट ऑफ सिमिलैरिटी इन बोथ दीज examples. Now let us take another example to make things more clear. Let us map this same contour. Okay, we are going to take the same contour, but this time I am mapping it through s minus 1. So that means here also I am having a 0. There is no pole in the system, so I am mapping it through 0. But here in this case you can see that the 0 is lying at s is equal to 1, or the position of 0 over here, it's s is equal to 1. Now in this case you can see that the contour is here, this is the contour, whereas the 0 of the function, it's lying outside the contour. So in this case, how will this function get mapped? Okay, how will this contour get mapped? Let's see. So similarly you can do the same thing. S minus 1 means you again have to substitute the value of s. So the first point that I am taking is minus 1 plus j. This is the point. This minus 1 will give me the point. So the point that I will be getting over here is minus 2 plus j. So first point that is being mapped, this point is being mapped to minus 2 plus j. Second point, that is minus 3 minus j, will be mapped to minus 4 minus j. Okay, similarly minus 3 plus j, sorry, next minus 3 minus j will be mapping to minus 4 minus j, and last point as minus 2 minus j. So if you see the encirclement, then again you will see that the encirclement is in the same direction as, means the points that we had taken here, it was in anti-clockwise direction. Here also I am getting the points in anti-clockwise direction only. But in this case you can see that unlike the previous examples where the function or where the contour was encircling the origin, here in this case the contour that you are getting while being mapped through the function of gs is equal to s minus 1, it is not encircling the origin. Okay, so this is a major point. These are the points, very simple points. We are actually just looking at the example and we are making some conclusions. Okay, like when we are mapping the contours, then what are the results in different cases, किस केस में कैसा रिजल्ट आ रहा है, हम बस उसको ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं. उन ऑब्जर्वेशंस को हम याद करके रखेंगे so that we can finally understand the Nyquist criteria. So just bear with me for a few minutes and then you will be able to very clearly understand the idea behind Nyquist criteria. Okay. So the conclusions that we have seen from previous one is that zero encirclement direction, that means जब आपका function में zero होता है तो उसमें encirclement का direction is same as the contours encirclement. Poles encirclement's direction is opposite to the contours encirclement. Now if a zero or pole is encircled by the contour in the x-plane, so this example that was जो हमने फर्स्ट और सेकंड केस देखा था कि आपके कॉन्टूर के अंदर जीरो या फिर पोल आ रहे थे, तो उस केस में देन द कॉन्टूर इट एनसर्कल्स द ओरिजिन इन द y plane. So encirclement of the origin will be there when the pole or zero is being encircled by the contour in the x-plane. But this fourth point, it's important. If pole and zero both are inside the contour and equal in number, then the encirclement around the origin cancels out. So you can, here I have taken only 3 examples. You can further take a few more examples. So I'll ask you to at least take 2 or more examples so that you can understand that better. But I am just telling you the concept. Like suppose I am having this contour. ये आपका एक contour है. And we have seen that you have one 0 and one pole, and you had initially you only had one pole, so the contour that you were getting over here, it was encircling the origin. But what if you get 1 0 also inside the same contour? In that case, these two things will cancel out and there will be no encirclement around the origin. अगर आपके पास इक्वल नंबर ऑफ जीरो या पोल्स आ जाते हैं तो क्या एनसर्कलमेंट होगा अबाउट द ओरिजिन? देयर विल बी नो एनसर्कलमेंट अराउंड द ओरिजिन. बट व्हाट इफ यू गेट अनदर पोल? ठीक है, अगर आपके पास अब दो पोल आ गए कॉन्टूर के अंदर और एक जीरो है, in that case you see the net of it that these two cancel out, but then you got another pole, and if this is like the direction is the contour that I am taking for suppose A plane and this is B plane, if this contour's direction is anti-clockwise, then I'll see that okay, there is one pole inside the contour. And for poles, we have learned that the encirclement around the origin will be opposite to whatever we are getting over here. So if this is in the anti-clockwise direction, the encirclement about the origin will be in the clockwise direction. What if I get another pole? अगर एक और पोल ऐड कर देते हैं, उस केस में क्या होगा? उस केस में you will get 2 times the encirclement around the origin. उस टाइम पे आपका जो B में कॉन्टूर रहेगा वो 2 बारी origin को encircle करेगा. So if you are getting 2 poles inside, like you have in total what you are having over here, you have got 3 poles and 1 zeros. Okay, so you got 3 pole 1 0. So how many times the encirclement? You just minus it. So 2 times encirclement. 2 times encircle करेगा. क्योंकि ये पोल है तो ये encirclement का डायरेक्शन ऑपोजिट होगा. ठीक है, so 2 times this will be encircling the origin. Now what if I get 2 more zeros, like you get 3 zeros and 3 poles, then there will be again no encirclement about the origin. सिमिलरली ऐसे ही अगर आपका पोल एक होता, ज़ीरो अगर आपके 2 होते, उस केस में क्या होता? अगर आपका एक पोल होता 2 ज़ीरो होते, लाइक सम हियर you had 1 pole and 2 zeros, then these 2 would have cancelled out and you would have got 1 encirclement about the origin, but that would have been in the same direction as the contour that is given in the A plane. So I think it's not that tough to understand, it's pretty simple. अगर यहाँ पे 3 जीरो हो जाते तो 2 टाइम्स इंसर्कलमेंट होता, अगर 4 जीरो हो जाते तो 3 टाइम इंसर्कलमेंट होता. डायरेक्शन कैसा होता है? क्योंकि जीरो ज़्यादा है तो उसके डायरेक्शन में होता. whichever is more, due to whichever function you are getting, due to whichever like pole और zero जिसकी भी वजह से इंसर्कलमेंट हो रहा है, डायरेक्शन उसी के अकॉर्डिंगली आपको पता चलेगा. Okay, so here I have taken the examples from the book Control System Engineering by Norman Nees. So here you can see like we have got contour A, so one complete table for contour A, and this is being mapped by certain functions, different functions, and then we are mapping it to another plane. So if this is S plane, then we are mapping it to F plane. So contour A is being mapped to contour B. So just let's see what kind of contours we are getting through different functions. So here you can see we have got contour A, and the zero is lying outside this contour. So this is the contour and we have got a zero, but the zero is lying outside the contour. That means हमको यहाँ पे भी एक contour मिलेगा, क्योंकि ये outside lie कर रहा है, इसलिए ये contour में ये कोई भी encirclement नहीं करेगा. So whether or not the contour will be encircling the origin depends on whether this zero or pole they are lying inside the contour or outside the contour. Origin को तभी encircle करता है जब कोई भी आपका zero या pole inside lie करता है, and that too if the number of poles and zeros they are different. If they are same, then also they will cancel out actually. Okay. So here I am getting another contour, but it's not encircling the origin. Another example, second one, we have got similarly a contour A. A pole is lying outside this contour. So here I'll be getting another contour as this is lying outside. क्योंकि ये outside है इसलिए यहाँ पे भी आपको एक contour मिलेगा depending on आप points कैसे कैसे map करते हैं तो उसके accordingly मिलेगा. लेकिन again this is not encircling the origin. Now here you can see there is one zero inside the contour. The direction is clockwise direction. So this will be mapping to here in F plane. This contour that you are getting, it's encircling the origin and the direction is also the same. यहाँ पे जो भी direction है वही same direction आपको यहाँ पे मिलेगा. Similarly here one pole inside the contour. Here again this will be encircling the origin. यहाँ पे आपका डायरेक्शन क्योंकि क्लॉकवाइज था तो यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हैं डायरेक्शन जो आपका मिलेगा वो एंटी क्लॉकवाइज होगा. Here in this case you can see we have got both zero and pole inside the contour, but the number of zeros and poles they are same. If they are same then जो हम बात कर रहे थे encirclement around the origin वो इस केस में नहीं होगा. ठीक है, you will be getting some contour but the encirclement around the origin it won't be there. Fine. And here you can see that you have got two zeros and one pole. So this is the type of example that I was discussing earlier. So if you have got two zeros and one pole, all the three inside the contour, तो इसमें क्या होगा एक जीरो और एक पोल की वजह से एनसर्कलमेंट आपका ओवरऑल कैंसिल हो जाएगा, बट यू स्टिल हैव वन मोर जीरो, वन एक्स्ट्रा जीरो इज देयर. सो एज वन एक्स्ट्रा जीरो इज देयर, हेंस दिस फंक्शन इट विल बी मैपिंग हियर like mapping about the origin and the direction will be the same. क्योंकि जीरो एक एक्स्ट्रा है तो यहाँ पे भी जो डायरेक्शन रहेगा वो सेम रहेगा. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द पॉइंट. Now here I have taken a kind of a problem, a simple problem. The problem is that you have got one contour A and this contour is mapped to another contour through some function. We don't know about this function. हमको इस function के बारे में कुछ पता नहीं है. Okay, and if you don't know the answer also I have written, but first see that what is the problem. The problem is to determine the number of poles or zeros from the above mentioned contour diagrams. So if I have this contour A, if I am given this contour B and the function is not known to us, then just by looking at it, can you identify how many number of poles and zeros are there in how many number of poles or zeros are there in this function GS? Okay, so in general perspective you can say that here, okay, we had this contour, it was in a clockwise direction, okay, and here I am seeing that we are getting a contour which is encircling the origin but in the anti-clockwise direction. So I can say that maybe there is one pole inside this, because अगर आपका GS suppose 1/s+2 होता है उस केस में आपको इसी तरीके का contour मिलता है. So maybe I am having one pole which is lying inside the contour. So inference can be one pole inside the contour A. But this is not necessary. Why? Because the same case that we have seen earlier, the diagram just means that there is one more pole than the total number of zeros inside the contour. So अगर आपके पास ये भी condition हो सकती है that there is only one pole and no zero, but what if it has two pole and one zero? Even in that case you will get this diagram only. What if you have got 50 poles and 49 zeros? Even in that case also you will be getting this point, this type of contour only. तो इसका मतलब यही होता है कि एक ज़ीरो या एक पोल ज़्यादा है ज़ीरो से. सिमिलरली अगर ये इसका डायरेक्शन अगर सपोज ऐसा होता तो उसका मतलब सिर्फ इतना ही होता कि एक ज़ीरो ज़्यादा है पोल से. That's the only meaning and that's the only inference that we can deduce. But if you want to find out the actual number of zeros and poles, अगर कितना नंबर ऑफ ज़ीरो और पोल है उसके लिए एटलीस्ट हमको एक इंफॉर्मेशन पता होनी चाहिए. लाइक हियर आई एम सीइंग दैट देयर इज़ वन एनसर्कलमेंट, तो n की वैल्यू 1 है. यहाँ पे हमको कम से कम अगर ये भी पता चल जाए ना कि आपके पास सपोज पोल्स एक है, तो आप आसानी से बता सकते हो कि अगर आपके पास सपोज 0 1 है, तो आप आसानी से बोल सकते हो कि पोल्स 2 हैं. ओके, अगर एक भी जानकारी आपको यहाँ पता रहती, सपोज यू नो दैट देर आर 49 zeros, देन यू कैन ईजिली से ओके 49 zeros एंड देर इज ओनली वन encirclement, देन डेफिनेटली द सिस्टम इज हैविंग 50 पोल्स. ओके, ये जो GS है इसमें डेफिनेटली 50 पोल्स हैं. सो दिस इज हाउ एटलीस्ट you should know two of the quantities. Like you are, by seeing this diagram you can see that how many number what is the encirclement, कितने number of encirclement है. अगर यहाँ पे encirclement 2 होता तो अपन बोलते कि यहाँ पे there are 2 more poles than zeros. Okay, so you can catch it and then you can really understand this. So you must be thinking, what are we discussing and how all these things are related to Nyquist criteria. It's very simple. If you get the points that I have recently told you, then you'll really be able to understand what is the concept behind the stability through this Nyquist criteria, system stability through Nyquist criteria. Now coming back to stability, just remember all the points that I have told you. And when we come back to the stability of the system through Nyquist criteria, what is the condition for stability? हमने शुरू से पढ़ा है कंट्रोल सिस्टम में, उसमें पढ़ने की कोशिश किए थे सिस्टम कब स्टेबल होता है. So for any system to be stable, for any closed loop system to be stable, we say that if we are having the S plane, then all the poles they should lie, all the poles systems का जो क्लोज लूप ट्रांसफर फंक्शन है उसके पोल्स जो है वो आपके सारे के सारे लाई करने चाहिए इन दी लेफ्ट हैंड साइड ऑफ दी एस प्लेन. ओके, and the number of closed loop poles lying on the right hand side of the S plane, they should be equal to 0. That means यहाँ पे कोई भी poles lie नहीं करने चाहिए. That is the major concern for system stability. एक भी pole अगर lie कर गया आपके right hand side में, that's going to make the system unstable. Now we have got this characteristic equation. यहीं से आप poles निकालते हैं. So the characteristic equation is 1 plus GSHS is equal to 0. And this determines the closed loop poles of the system. Now we have seen that 1 plus GSHS, it is it's dg into dh plus ng into nh divided by dg into dh. Okay, this we know, but we also know that this ये जो आपका है zeros of 1 plus GSHS, इसके जो zeros हैं they are actually the poles of the transfer function, which we had seen in the second main concept while discussing today only. तो हमने जो सेकेंड कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ा था वहाँ पे हम देखे थे कि जो ज़ीरोज़ हैं 1 प्लस GSHS के वही पोल्स हैं सिस्टम के. Okay, so what we want to find out, actually what we can do, we can find out the total number of zeros of 1 plus GSHS, okay, lying to the right side of the S plane. ठीक है, तो अगर हमको पता चल जाता है कि कितने जीरोस लाई कर रहे हैं राइट साइड में या फिर जीरो लाई कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है, तो वहाँ से आप पता कर सकते हो कि सिस्टम स्टेबल है या अनस्टेबल है. इवन इफ 1 0 किसकी बात कर रहे हैं, जीरोस ऑफ 1 प्लस GSHS. दैट्स व्हाई आई हैड made that a point, like that is a concept. Zeros of 1 plus GSHS are the poles of transfer function. So if you know that how many zeros are lying, or whether or not even 1 0 is lying on the right hand side of the S plane, then you can clearly comment on the stability of the system. So what we do, हम क्या करते हैं Nyquist में, what we do, we make the entire right side of the S plane as the contour. तो हम अभी तक जो बात कर रहे थे, we were defining one contour, यहाँ पे आप एक कोई contour बना रहे थे, ठीक है. अब हम क्या करते हैं, वो contour को हम specify कर देते हैं. हम जो contour यहाँ पे ले रहे थे, हम क्या करेंगे, हम ये जो पूरा S plane है, we'll take the S plane and we'll make the entire right hand side पूरा राइट हैंड साइड जो है उसको कॉन्टूर बना देंगे, एंड दैट वोंट बी सिंपली अ कॉन्टूर, दैट विल बी नोन एज द नाइक्विस्ट कॉन्टूर, क्योंकि ये स्पेशल है, हम किसी पर्टिकुलर चीज़ को कॉन्टूर बना रहे हैं. सो द कॉन्टूर दैट विल बी रेफरिंग इट एज इज द नाइक्विस्ट कॉन्टूर. ओके, एंड वील बी प्लॉटिंग इट और मैपिंग इट. अब हम इसको मैप करेंगे, वील बी मैपिंग दिस कॉन्टूर टू अनदर प्लेन, एंड किस फंक्शन से मैप करेंगे? वील बी मैपिंग इट थ्रू द फंक्शन 1 plus GSHS. Now just you'll get it very clearly what is the intention behind it. So what we are doing, हमने एक पूरा राइट हैंड साइड लिया, उसको हमने कॉन्टूर बोल दिया, एंड इस कॉन्टूर को हम मैप किससे कर रहे हैं? 1 plus GSHS से. ओके, we'll be mapping it. So here if this is the S plane, this will be mapping to another plane. ठीक है, अगर हम इसको 1 plus GSHS से मैप कर रहे हैं, एंड here according to this contour, this plot जो हमने यहाँ पे बनाया है, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपको यहाँ पे कुछ प्लॉट मिलेगा. Now here you have to see whether or not you are, आपको चेक क्या करना है? You have to check whether सिस्टम स्टेबल है कि नहीं. और सिस्टम अनस्टेबल होगा, इसका मतलब है कि सिस्टम में यहाँ पे कोई भी ज़ीरो होगा. हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? 1 plus GSHS की. 1 plus GSHS में अगर सपोज एक भी ज़ीरो है, अगर इसमें एक भी ज़ीरो है, तो वो इस कॉन्टूर में यहाँ पे इसके अंदर कहीं पे भी आ जाएगा. दैट्स वाई वी हैव टेकन द एंटायर राइट हैंड साइड. अगर एक भी ज़ीरो आया और हम उसको आइडेंटिफाई कैसे करेंगे? यहाँ पे हमको जिस तरीके का भी ग्राफ मिलेगा, हम उससे उसको आइडेंटिफाई कर लेंगे. सो सपोज आई एम टेकिंग दिस एंटायर राइट हैंड साइड in the clockwise direction, and the figure that I am getting here, it's also in the clockwise direction. There is just one encirclement about the origin in the clockwise direction. That means what? इससे हम क्या इससे हम क्या inference करेंगे? We can clearly identify that okay, यहाँ पे आपका एक ज़्यादा ज़ीरो है. ठीक है, इफ़ यू नो दैट हाउ मेनी पोल्स द सिस्टम इज हैविंग, अगर एक भी इंफॉर्मेशन आ गई आपकी तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि ओके सिस्टम में कहीं ज़ीरो है, राइट हैंड साइड में कहीं ज़ीरो है. एंड इफ़ यू नो दैट द सिस्टम इज हैविंग ज़ीरो, which system? 1 plus GSHS. This function is having any zero, that means that the system is unstable. So if zeros are present in the right hand side, then there will be encirclement in the same direction around the origin in Nyquist plot, and we will know that the system is unstable. And this is the concept behind the Nyquist criteria. Okay, यही बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है कि नाइक्विस्ट क्राइटेरिया को हम किस तरीके से यूज कर रहे हैं. नाउ इंस्टेड ऑफ वन मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग, main concept has been discussed. So what we do, instead of checking the encirclement around the origin, हमको मालूम है कॉन्टूर ए से कॉन्टूर बी में जाते हैं, अगर एक ज़ीरो है तो encirclement around the origin होगा if the zero is lying inside the contour. Okay, what we can do, what we actually do, हम 1 plus GSHS फंक्शन जो है ये इक्वल टू ज़ीरो बोल रहे हैं, हम इस फंक्शन को ले रहे हैं और हम चेक कर रहे हैं एनसर्कलमेंट अराउंड द ओरिजिन. बट व्हाट इफ वी कैन मैप द कॉन्टूर थ्रू GSHS? व्हाट इफ वी वांट टू मैप द कॉन्टूर थ्रू नॉट 1 plus GSHS, बट वी वांट टू मैप द कॉन्टूर थ्रू GSHS? तो GSHS को करने का क्या मतलब है, क्योंकि हमको ये ओपन लूप सिस्टम इसके थ्रू मैप करना और ज़्यादा सिंपल रहता है. ओके, सो व्हाट वी कैन डू, वी कैन नॉट सिंपली मैप इट थ्रू GSHS बिकॉज उसका पोल्स, उसका ज़ीरोज़ डिफरेंट होगा. फंक्शन तो हमको यही लेना है, बट वी वांट टू मैप इट थ्रू GSHS. इफ़ यू वांट टू मैप इट थ्रू GSHS, देन GSHS शुड बी इक्वल टू -1. यहीं से आपका आ जाता है GSHS इक्वल टू -1. ओके, सो in Nyquist criteria, what we do, instead of looking at the encirclement around the origin, क्योंकि हम यहाँ पे देख रहे थे तो आप एनसर्कलमेंट अराउंड द ओरिजिन कर देते थे, हमने फंक्शन को शिफ्ट कर दिया, तो हमने फंक्शन ले लिया जी एस एच एस इक्वल टू -1, हमको इसके थ्रू मैपिंग करनी है। तो अगर हमको इसके थ्रू मैपिंग करनी है, वी आर डूइंग द शिफ्टिंग ऑफ द ओरिजिन दैट यू हैव स्टडीड इन मैथ्स। तो जब ज़ीरो के अबाउट ओरिजिन, जब आप ज़ीरो ओरिजिन लेते थे, उसके लिए हम अगर 1 प्लस जी एस एच एस लेते थे, अब अगर आपको फंक्शन जी एस एच एस लेना है तो आपको ओरिजिन को शिफ्ट करना पड़ेगा, एंड वी शिफ्ट दिस ओरिजिन टू -1. सो व्हाट वी डू, इंस्टेड ऑफ चेकिंग द एनसर्कलमेंट अराउंड द ओरिजिन, वी चेक द एनसर्कलमेंट अराउंड -1. ये डाउट बहुत स्टूडेंट्स को बहुत बाद तक रहता है कि हम -1 के अराउंड क्यों चेक करते हैं. And what if in many of the interviews also this question is asked, like what if we want to map it through 1 plus GSHS. अगर आप मैपिंग 1 plus GSHS से करते हैं, उस केस में आपको ओरिजिन के अबाउट इंसर्कलमेंट देखना चाहिए, बट अगर आप मैपिंग GSHS के थ्रू करते हैं तो उस केस में आपको मैपिंग इंसर्कलमेंट -1 के अराउंड चेक करना चाहिए. So this is the concept behind the Nyquist criteria. हम exactly क्या करते हैं, but how do you actually map this entire contour, that is Nyquist contour? उससे आप Nyquist plot कैसे बनाते हैं? What are the steps to determine the stability through Nyquist criteria? That I'll be explaining in the next lecture. Thank you so much for listening to this lecture.